to call to order this meeting of the Franklin Tourism Commission and start off by calling roll. You'd answer in the affirmative when your name is called. Ed Holfer.
Here.
Mark Wiley.
Here. Barbara Wesner.
Here.
And Jeff Kudersky.
Here.
All right, if you don't please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is 3 minutes after 6, and I'd like to open up the citizen comment period. Citizens that may want to comment. Seeing none, if we can close the citizen comment period and move on to item number 3 on our agenda, the approval of our meeting minutes from the March 20th. Take this as two separate, or can we do one motion?
Take them individually because we've got some edits on the 24th.
Okay, so we're looking at approving the minutes of the March 20th and the March 25th meeting, and starting with the March 20th meeting. Those meeting minutes are in the packet in front of you. All right, so we've got a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the March 20th meeting.
Second
For that. Excuse me. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, minutes from the March 20th meeting are approved. Moving on to the March 25th special meeting. There is an edit here.
Two edits. Actually 3. One is Jeff Kudersky was present. Lance Schaefer was excused for the attendance, and then Vice Chairman Kudersky called the meeting to order at 11:02, and citizen comment closed at 11:03.
Move to accept the minutes as corrected.
I'll second.
Right. Motion to approve the minutes and a second. Mark, all those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? March 25th are approved. Reports. Mark. Engage Franklin.
Engage Franklin, and I'm going to defer to Laura on a number of this, but we're making good progress on hiring Laura's replacement. We had a couple candidates that we've looked at, and we're still looking. We're making progress. We're getting some traction. The board met on Monday. There's a lot of activity related to opening day with Milkman. Darrell is going to be brought the opening pitch much better than I did last year.
Darrell Malik is
Darrell, yeah. He's on tap to do the Milk on Tap taping. The signs have all been changed, I believe, from tourism, frankly. So it's in all the URLs are being worked out.
Yeah, I just have to confirm with them if it's .com or .org. I asked for .org, but I'm going to find it.
Okay. So as before, Engage Franklin is going to be the presenting sponsor for opening day. And that is going to coincide with the launch of our website. But I'm going to defer to Laura to talk about that because I see there's things in here that are attached. So I think you're going to ask us to look at that. And she's been continuing to do activity, recruiting other things to come to. So I think we're making good progress.
So would it be an appropriate time, Laura, for you to?
Mind if I publish for me?
Please.
If you're going to work the report, you want to drive the mouse?
Sure. Works. Alrighty. So as in our contract, and as I think is really appropriate, this is kind of the Q1 report, right?
All right.
That we've decided that will happen annually, and unless otherwise decided for more or less frequency. And it dawned on me while I was putting this together that we didn't actually decide whether this report was going to include 2023 or not, so I just included it. So it's Q1 of 24, of course, but then it's also what we've done in Q3 where the expenditures were and everything like that. Kind of a review since I already kind of went through that a while back when we were in the contracting phase, but I figure it's not that much information, so I made it. So here we have, and I'm going to go off of our statement of activities just because that's really the more detailed of the two reports. It's a nonprofit version of a P&L, so it lists out what we've got going on here. So I included a summary sheet. So it's a little tricky to do it bouncing back and forth, but I will just give a summary here, and then I'll scroll down to my breakdown and walk through that. So you'll notice we have expenditures listed here. This is January through March 2024, so Q1 2024. We spent money on advertising and marketing and contract and professional fees. So those are the only two, and software and apps, that was our book. So we really haven't had much expenditure in the last 3 months just because so much of it is pending and in the works. So what I'm going to do is scroll through these. I will bop back and forth. So sorry if my scroll reading is too hard for you. Don't look up. So to coincide with that, the 2024 line item breakdown for Q1 is right here. That advertising and marketing line item. That amount of money that was shown there was $7,150, as in the report. That was a split between the Greater Milwaukee Golf Show event sponsorship and INET, who's doing our website. So we've invested. Now that is not just website; it's website branding, graphic design, and asset creation. And it's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. There will be follow-up invoices as we budgeted to have approximately $15,000 spent on that. So the Greater Milwaukee Golf Show, I think, was a huge success. We had the welcome bag sponsorship, and then we also acquired the attendee list with that so that we can utilize that for future marketing. Also, it was the first time hosting in Franklin before they were at State Fair Park. So not only did Engage Franklin acquire the event and recruit it to the area, but then also we wanted to show our support, and make it feel welcome in its new home. So I feel like that was a successful venture and will be repeated. I think that we're online for at least 3, if not, we have 3 years contracting, but we also know that the golf show individuals want it to be the indefinite home because they don't like change, and neither do their attendees. So that was awesome. Contract and professional fees, as you noticed, it was the $10,020. That's my 1099 fee for part-time work as the contracted executive director. So I omitted the payment for December. I basically gave them December because I was rather inactive during that period of time, holidays, etc. So, but for January, February, and March, there were each payments executed on that. And then the software and apps, that was just our Intuit QuickBooks subscription. So you're going to see that one regularly. It's going to just be one of those reoccurring. And then, sorry, I'm scrolling back up here. Now to tune into all of 2023. Again, there's not too much to go through, considering it was a full year. But, of course, we were launching contracting and getting our board together at the same time. So I will just go down line by line, and it is all on the summary sheet that we have here. So starting at the top, here we are, accounting fees. So again, that was our QuickBooks subscription. Originally, we purchased the software, right? So that was the original purchase of the software. And then the legal fees, as I'm sure you guys have incurred plenty of your own as well, all of the contracting. So that went to drafting of our bylaws, incorporation, nonprofit application, submission, contracting, and consultation for all of our contracting with you guys, and also for revising the naming rights. So that was all of the legal fees layered in there. And then down to the professional fees, etc., mileage reimbursement, that's a kind of a big chunk, but that's because I drove to Kansas City last year for the Sports ETA Symposium. So, and we still have a few in the hopper from that event, so I consider it very successful use of the dollars. So, yeah, that was just round trip to KC, and then and some driving while in market doing private meetings. Office expenses, we had, that was the purchase of our checks. we established our checking account, and so checks cost money. Beyond that, memberships and subscriptions. We had, that was toward the end of the year, we got 2 prorated subscription or memberships to both South Suburban Chamber and Visit Milwaukee at that period in time. The main impetus for doing it in the late in the year, the way that we did was because it was number one, a value, because it was prorated, and number 2, we saw the need to promote Enchant because it's a big thing for our innkeepers in that Q4, right? They really wanted to make the most of it. So we thought that that would be a great way to utilize those memberships, namely the Visit Milwaukee one, where we ended up getting like millions and millions of views on their YouTube and on their TikTok. So, so I think that was also valuable. And then software apps, same old, same old. That one, it was just Microsoft Web Services. So not a big deal. Promotional materials down here, that was about a $1,400 investment. That one was for Print Globe, the Jerky Outlet, and Color Ink. All of those were for welcome bags that we made for the high volume times over when we had the All-Star game, when we had Savannah Bananas, and when we had some special guests spamming the area from Visit Milwaukee. So that was the Print Globe was the printed bags that say Engage Franklin. The Color Ink was the collateral piece that we had, like kind of our mini visitor's guide that we produced.
That's what you did for Sports ETA.
Yeah, and then we got iNet also looped into some of that graphic design work. It was sports focused only and included Oak Creek for the Sports ETA because of our co-op that we did. But then we had them do a little redesign so it's Franklin focused only, and then we printed them. I still have about 300 of them, ready to be distributed for the next time that we have an opportunity for welcome bags. And then the jerky, I just always think it's nice when we give welcome bags to do like a local flavor type thing, and we got a great deal on some bulk jerky from the outlet there. I just thought it was kind of interesting, especially because most of them were baseball fans and baseball players, something simple and easy. And then let's see here, where are we? Travel. Last but not least, that was my hotel in Kansas City when I did Sports ETA. So those were literally all of the expenses that were incurred over all of 2023 and then Q1 of 2024. Pretty basic. We can't wait to spend more money because we can't wait to get our initiative really rolling. So I will go to my next kind of more fun portion of my report, and that's anticipated Q2 projects.
Before you move on,
course.
I just have one question about the memberships, Visit Milwaukee and the South Suburban Chamber.
Yeah.
Are those ongoing? You said it was prorated, so.
Right. We haven't renewed for 2024. No, I'm sorry, we did for South Suburban Chamber. We did renew. That rolled in because actually that one wasn't prorated. Visit Milwaukee was. So that one was from our start date instead of an annual. But then the Visit Milwaukee one we haven't renewed yet, just because it's not really, if I was honest, and I work for Visit Milwaukee, I talked to our partnerships gentleman and said that we're going to sign on when we have a very specific need to. When we have something in mind that we really want to promote, like maybe this website launch, maybe when our socials get flaring up with our web launch, and we really have something very directed for them to help us with.
Okay.
Yeah. And he gave me a little trouble for that, but I was like, hey, prove me wrong, right? That's what we should be doing, is being wise with our money.
Laura, can I just
Yeah.
ask a question on a statement of activity? Is this, I know it says January through December of 2023, but under the totals here, are we just looking at anything that hit in the month of December and not truly the entire year? And the reason I ask that is
No.
under contract and professional fees, I know you said, listen, that was a month where you weren't really billing,
Yeah. Yeah.
because of, what your schedule was like in December, but what about the rest of the year? Is that?
Yeah, the rest of the year, it's January 1, 2023 through December 31 of 2023. So
All these totals cover everything that happened in that period should
Correct.
be in the total column here.
yes. And I cross-checked it with all of our banking statements and everything like that. So the contracting fees,
Yeah, was there anything before December in contract and professional
no,
fees?
because I was paid for by Rock Ventures.
So that kind of ties back to the change we made in
the agreement.
In the agreement.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry to rush ahead. Are there any more questions on the line items or anything that kind of breeze through, yeah.
So, you said that there was you're sponsoring part of the golf show?
Yeah.
Correct, what was the sponsorship portion of that?
2,000.
2,000? And as being the featured presenting partner for the opening day, is that a paid thing also?
That's worked into the naming rights agreement that we just. Right, so fun stuff. Anticipated Q2 projects. We have obviously a lot of long-term goals, visitor center, those things that we went over with you guys, big picture. But I think for the purpose of this report, and I'm happy to dream along with you guys and talk about the way things are developing. But I think for the purpose of this report, I wanted to focus on those things that we can come back next quarter report and be like, look, we did all of these things, right? These are the things we set out to do in Q2, so then I can report on how they were finished. And any costs associated. So first is Sports ETA Symposium. I just thought it was very important. We did some good work last time. I don't have the ability to go now because I don't have the time. However, I had a meeting with Marissa Werner of Sports Milwaukee, and she has our collateral, and she's representing Franklin as a great suburb of Milwaukee. So it's not going to be, we won't have our own intentional appointments, but she does have all of our collateral and know that that we're top of mind. She'll also come back with all the RFPs because you get all those RFPs. So I'll have access to the same things I did last time, so I can do follow-ups or create appointments on my own. So it's not exactly the same as going in attendance, but we will have a lot of the added benefits of the RFP list and intentional marketing of Franklin while there. So everybody she meets with is going to have going to get a Franklin venue collateral. And then website launch. This is the big one, really. I know it's the most anticipated one that we have. So we gave ourselves a deadline of May 10th because that coincides with opening day. And when the crowds of people stream into Franklin Field and we're the presenting sponsor, our URL is going to be everywhere. All of our live reads are going to encourage people to visit this website for the first time, interact with it, help us build it, help us fill any missing pieces. We have form submissions, which I'll go into later, that if there are any businesses that someone's like, hey, this business isn't listed in the restaurant, hey, this event isn't listed on the calendar, they can arm themselves and equip themselves to just submit it via form. Or, of course, there will be an Ask Us type thing, too, where they can just interact with it that way. But we have given ourselves that deadline, and we're really excited to have everything just like people who arrive that day are going to be almost bombarded with engagefranklin.org and go explore, go see and do. And then, of course, all of our other efforts will be linked back to the website as well. On the website topic, I did some screen grabs, which I think we can. Why don't I do this? So I mentioned asset creation before. So INET has just about completed the asset creation for us, photo and video. So what you're seeing behind Where Community Thrives is kind of what we've decided to put at the focus of what we do. We know that it's about tourism and it's about creating that economic impact, but really we're selling our community to other individuals. And you're thriving while you're visiting, you're thriving while you're living here. So that what you see behind there is a hero video that is going to be. It's not complete at this point in time, or it's not embedded into the website, but it will be shortly. It's going to be all the assets that they were creating over this period of time, basically over the past 8 months, that they've been, getting out there and getting footage and, live things from events and so on. So that's going to be behind there. And then, of course, you can only grab so much of a screen at one time, so forgive that. I'm going to have to keep going. But also, the bar up here, events. We've always talked about a huge focus on events. There is no centralized place in Franklin where people can go to see what there is to see and do, both for visitors and for locals. So that's going to be a very exciting one, and it's going to be a living and growing thing because, like I said, the form submission is going to be something that we are really going to push. And on social, on all of our live reads and any sponsorship we do, the button is going to be everywhere, submit an event. So people can go ahead and do that. That form will go to me for approval. And we'll have the opportunity for people to upload photos or links, different things like that, so that when their event is listed, how they want it to look. It's going to be all of our recreational assets, including parks and including, like the Croatian complex, things like that. So all of the different assets that we have. We have a comprehensive list of restaurants, but again, if anybody sees something missing, we're going to encourage our community to help us source this and to make sure that it's as full as possible. Stay, of course, our lodging, and then we were going to have like an itinerary builder tool, where people can kind of plan their trip or plan their day being out and about in front. So up here you see advertise with us. I'll kind of point that out later. That's something that we're going to work with as another revenue stream. As our website builds up steam, we will have spaces built in. Until we have advertisers, we're just going to end up utilizing, like, featuring the next community event, or, you know, showcasing a restaurant that just opened, or, you know, highlighting one of our partners that's having a really great season, you know, something like that. So, but eventually that will be something to build out. Community, of course, is going to be, you know, different community assets and organizations that, you know, that help us thrive and help us grow. Like, we'll do links to, like, the chamber here and, you know, other assets that serve our community. News, we'll have a news feed. We'll try to keep anything that's not glowing out of the news. You know, it's gonna be positive stuff only. And then contact, of course, the contact. So pretend this continued right down. You're still on our homepage. It's the Play, Eat, Stay. Upcoming events. This is what our calendar of events widget is going to look like. These are old. These are just placeholders right now because they're currently populating everything, content. But this is what it will look like, and it's going to be every event that we could possibly think of to showcase in the community. And again, it's the content will be uploaded initially by us, but then hopefully for the future by the event holders, right?
I think I have a question about that, because you have a submit an event button here.
Mm-hmm.
Can anyone simply go on there and submit the event does it get somehow evaluated?
Yes, it goes to me
Okay.
or whoever the next executive director or intern might be, and then there will be an approval process.
Okay.
And there can be interaction with that too, so we don't want to, obviously we want to keep it for Franklin events,
Right.
or events that benefit our community specifically.
Mhm.
And then we also don't want to have any events that could be considered offensive. Anybody try to stay out of the political arena, just because that's, you know, want to be everybody's friend, right? So that's what that's going to look like. And then this is just what I grabbed from the bottom. This is not a real ad, but it's just a sample of one of our ad spaces and how it can be utilized. We threw River Center in there because Tammy's on our board, so you know, it's just a fun placeholder. But again, we'll do rotating different things until we have that space sold. And like any other website, here on the bottom, we have you know, all of the different categories that you may ever want to visit. And then, of course, a partner with us. That's the nice thing. That'll just go directly to me. It'll be like, you know, name, organization, if applicable, you know, because we realize that there are people who want to utilize the resource of Engage Franklin to promote their events, to help their organizations, to bring people to the community. And we just wanted to use that as a vague outreach. We are open to partnering with our community organizations and businesses. So if you have a unique way to partner with us that hasn't been represented on this site, please use this so that we can start a dialogue and figure out how we can.
Day package, you have bed and breakfast.
Yeah,
Have
that'll
you
be
ever-
eliminated.
Have you ever researched that? Or
Yeah,
is it-
we don't have any.
Okay, no, I'm
that
just-
one was kind of just a
I mean,
throw
okay.
in. But yeah, thank you. Good looking on that. Yeah, we're gonna vet all of the things that INET just put in there because they thought it might be something we would want. Most of it was very intentional, but obviously before we go live in 23 days, but who's counting? We'll have it all combed through. On the note of combing through things, by the end of the month, we have a favor to ask of you guys. We will have a beta site live going. You know, obviously it's not going to be live to the common public, but you will be able to interact with it like you would be able to interact with the website when it does go live. And we are kind of doing a select group of individuals, you guys namely, and then a couple of other trusted community partners to play with the website, see how it works for you, see how it interfaces, and make all the suggestions in the world, you know, between the end of the month. So basically between May 1 and May 10, we're going to be hustling, right, to make sure that we make all of those tweaks in order to make it go live and make it possible. So your feedback will be definitely welcomed and appreciated.
Or, excuse me, when they go on there to add an event, is it limited by space?
Like characters, yeah, like description of characters, yeah, it will be. I think it's gonna be like 100 characters or something of that. But they can add a link, right? So if really they want somebody to go and mark that they're going to their Facebook event, they can do it that way. If it's listed on their website as a regular, piece of their website page, they can do that. So, but there will be a spot for an image, there will be a spot for a description, and then the traditional things you want to know about an event, when, where,
I'm
timing.
just thinking, I know it'll be short if this comes online May 10th.
Mhm.
But it'd be a good place to have additional for the city's 4-day celebration for the 4th of July, the parade.
Absolutely. We'll have that house on there for certain. I think that it's already in the list of what INET has. I think they're actively populating that right now. And if for whatever reason they don't, we can obviously make sure that they have all the information populated. We'll want to reach out to Celebrations to ensure that we have the right imagery that they want. I think that's what we would be missing, if anything.
And I'm sure they can get that.
Yeah, yeah. And anything else posted, in Franklin that by at the Polar Center or anything like that, we want to make sure that it's all included and comprehensive, because when somebody clicks on our calendar of events and starts scrolling, we want them to be overwhelmed by how much there is to see. All 4 seasons.
So Laura?
Yeah.
At the last council meeting, not the one last night, but the one prior to that, and our economic development, well, part of what we did for marketing materials development was to get photo assets. And
Yeah, I remember that.
one of the council people was saying, are you sharing this with Engage Franklin? No, not quite sure if it's applicable, because we have industrial parks and
Right.
in general scenery, not necessarily a lot of photos of activities, but we want to, it's too large just to send me, so I'll try to send them.
Yeah, that would be very helpful. And then that way, and even if, and I can vet through them, it shouldn't be anybody else's job to figure out what would be used for promotion or not,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything to make our asset toolkit as complete as possible is going to be tremendous.
Okay.
And it's going to be growing forever. It's never going to be a finished project. So, but we just want to make sure that everybody feels extraordinarily welcomed to reach out, hit that contact button. My information is going to be listed on the website, including my phone number, which many people laugh at me about. But you know what? I find if you give it to people, they don't find the need to seek it out or use it much. They tend to be respectful. So, anyway, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that Engage Franklin is here to play with everybody. Because of the way we got started, I want to ensure that all local businesses, all local assets, all of our community leaders understand that.
Are you planning, well, for instance, the library has a great number of activities.
Mhm.
And so does the rec department. Are those the kinds of things that should be in here as well?
I guess
Or
it
will
depends.
be?
Yeah, it will certainly be on the website, whether it be on our, featured on our community tab, that might be one of the better spaces. But if it's something that somebody from out of town would be like, hey, this is really cool. It's not like, school supplies for the next year or something like that, right? It's something that would be applicable to somebody who would be traveling to our community. Absolutely.
The library has author visits
Oh,
and
yeah.
movies.
100%.
So that sort of thing would be, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I would consider that to be a visitor asset. If somebody is between games over at the Rock or something like that, and there's a free movie to go see or, something like that, absolutely. I know that when families are traveling, they're always looking for unique activities to keep their family engaged. And then this was just one more little grab, an example of how we're going to get into the dine, the play, all of that sort of thing. So we have divided everything out so that it's the way people want to consume information by way of studies that people have consumed information on others. And I just wanted you guys to see this is how our restaurant listings, similar to our calendar of events, this is how the restaurant listings will be featured. And it's kind of a scroll back and forth type thing. Those aren't featured alphabetically, but I believe that's exactly how we're going to do it, is alphabetically, just so that we aren't trying to showcase one first. Of course, you can have the featured spot if you purchase advertising with us, those little types of upgrade things. But yeah, that's what it'll look like.
What will they get just free.
Everything except for an ad. Listings are all free. So that
I mean, like, this has got the pictures and that we get, that would be part of the free.
yeah, if they go ahead and submit it to us, you bet.
I didn't know if, like, that quality would be an ad and then a listing would just be, you know, like you'd find in a booklet, just a listing of all the restaurants or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, there are certain spaces where, you know, adding a photo would be an upgrade to a listing, I think. But in this particular case, we want everybody to fall in love with our website. We want everybody to fall in love with everything we have to see and do. So when a visitor is perusing a place to visit or considering a destination, food is at the top of their list, right? So we want to make it look as appetizing and robust and give as much variety as possible.
And then what's the plan for reaching out to the local businesses to get them in here and involved?
That'll be our next executive director's position. When the person comes online, I don't want to start a project that I can't be successful with. So for right now, it'll be kind of a soft launch of if somebody inquires, we'll have something prepared for them, you know, like pricing or options, and we can negotiate things. It'll be a little bit more organic to begin with, but obviously it'll become systemized very quickly as soon as someone. That, I think, is everything I screen grabbed for you guys. And again, you'll get to actually play with it in 2 weeks.
Are you emailing that to the commission members? Or?
Yeah, I'll email it to John and he can distribute to you guys. You bet. And Ed, do you believe that it's something the Common Council might like to drive around with?
I'm sure they would.
Yeah, then I'll take that advice, and I imagine the board's great with that too.
I think it'd be fine,
Yeah, I think.
because we'd like to foster that relationship anyway.
Right on.
Now, are you controlling this?
Back end of it, yeah, through iNet.
Just you?
So,
I mean, just you, or is there anybody?
so iNet is going to be our company that is going to be controlling the back end. However, they built it so that I will have access to the back end. I will be able to tweak things. But for right now, they'll be under contract so that any requests that we have, they can do it themselves. But when some,
Yeah, I mean, I ran into the situation
Yeah.
where you only have one person doing something, that person
right,
sick or something, and also nobody knows how to update the website. So I think there could be another.
Yeah, that's kind of the rabbit hole we fell into with the first website.
Right.
yeah.
So that's why I said
Yeah.
I think it'd be important to have somewhat access to some.
We'll have iNet on retainer, basically. So when in doubt, they can take care of it for us. And they know so much about the community. They've done so many Franklin projects, so and to work with them because it's already very.
We looked at a couple other companies.
Oh yeah, we
Decided
bid it
on
out
that
3
because
times. Yeah.
Because of that familiarity.
And other than the rollout at the opening date on May 10th,
Mhm.
what other way will this be promoted to the community?
Mostly social. We're gonna get our Instagram and our Facebook going. So we're gonna be doing that, and hopefully we're gonna garner some support that way. Social media and Franklin it's a little bit of a love-hate thing, right? So I'm gonna try to be careful not to rely on it too much, or put that forward. But we want to. It was on my summary sheet. We do also want to do when Common Council is ready. We want to have maybe 5 or 10 minutes to showcase the website live at a council meeting. I feel like everybody could use that positive push and look at all the wonderful things that are happening and look at all the resources that are being created. So we're going to do that, and then we also will have an actual PR campaign where we do press releases on Engage Franklin launching. Here are the assets. We want to make sure that it's all set up and ready to go. I have in here for Q2 that it'll be a soft launch of social, just because I want to dip my toe in the water first to make sure that it doesn't explode in our face, because people can be it's a polarizing thing. So I want to make sure that it's done correctly before we really blast it out and people see negativity going on.
We need to walk before we can run.
Yeah.
But
Right.
one of the other things we're going to do too, and we haven't talked about timing, is the quarterly Franklin newsletter.
Absolutely.
Writing a cover page for that.
Yeah, we'll be doing an insert in the newsletter. It goes out to all of the homes. And then also, we had talked, this probably isn't a Q2 thing, but a Q3 thing for certain is hosting an event where we invite the community. We do a presentation on what Engage is, our relationship with the commission. We can co-write that portion of it, of course, so that it's narrated, story the way we all want it to be narrated. And then just basically consider it a celebration of tourism and all that we have going on in Franklin. So we'll have our video assets going in the background. We'll have our website, up, and we'll do the presentation. We'll obviously have food and beverage. It'll be beautiful. But then we'll also, I think we've talked about having like a Q&A panel almost, so that people can have the opportunity to have the open forum of asking the questions. Because in a presentation, generally speaking, you give the glossy version of a lot of things, right? And people don't always trust it entirely. So the ability to ask the hard questions in a live atmosphere, I don't think anyone on our board of directors, and certainly not me, I'm not intimidated to answer those questions about our journey and to be very honest about it, and because I'm really proud about where we are. So
I would suggest that waiting until the third quarter is too little too late.
For the event?
Yes, because you're going to have other people telling your story before you're ready, before you're telling your story.
Right.
And you, from a public relations standpoint, you really need to control your story and do it soon. And don't let this float out there and then everyone kind of make those comments that we see on social media.
Right.
So do this soon. We really need, I really believe you need to do that soon.
Take that to heart.
And you'll have all the metrics that you need for who's visiting and how often and how long. And
Yep. We'll have all of the data that we could possibly have. We'll have at our fingertips. And you were there for the Enchant thing yesterday. Visit Milwaukee. My colleagues in the comms department said that they're more than happy to run economic impact reports on anything that we have data to back up. So if we have data to give them, they'll run the report through the Destinations International and Tourism Economics tool and give us those statistics as, just a great partner. So
You summarize what that was for Enchant?
Yeah, sure. So basically we had data from the CBRE data, so it's cell phone tracking, right? So we had cell phone tracking data and information on the activity, so to speak, during Enchant and during the build of Enchant, because we had a lot of visitors as well. And then we also had the information from the credit card purchases from Enchant that had zip codes attached to them. So utilizing all of that data, it was submitted over. Now, I don't put it into the machine, right? That's not my area of expertise, but I delivered the data to the comms team over at Visit Milwaukee, where we had things like ticket sales, we had the zip codes, we had the CBRE data of people coming and going, which is as inclusive of a packet of information as where they were before they went, how long they stayed, and where they went afterward, how far they traveled from, ultimately, and then of course zip codes are tied to their phones as well, so the anticipation of their ultimate origin, right? Obviously, we can't use that. It's not like they don't live in that, because people can have a zip code that's not where they're currently living. But anyway, all that information is submitted into this tool that Destinations International and Oxford Economics have created for the industry to produce economic impact numbers. And then once the data is in there, it produces outcomes such as total direct spend, local taxes contributed, jobs supported, and total economic impact for the area. So for Enchant, it was upwards of almost $58 million in total economic impact. These are off the top of my head. I don't remember them specifically. And then it was approximately, I think it was like 2,300 jobs supported. And then local taxes, it was somewhere in the 2 million range of local taxes it generated for the community. So we can tell that story over and over again, but I think that people need to keep hearing it, not necessarily just for Enchant, but for all of the great things that are happening in the community. For when the Croatians have a soccer tournament, for when you are hosting a wedding and people are coming from out of town, or Polish Fest, even, I know it's Milwaukee proper, but still, people are going to be coming and going from the Polish Center, so I think we need to celebrate all of those different times that we are attracting visitors, and the more we can track it, and the more of the story we can tell, I think the better.
Where will you tell that story?
Yeah, so basically.
Where? The impact, the financial impact. These are great numbers.
Right.
Wonderful numbers, but has anybody else heard them besides us? Well, the other
Council,
The
yeah.
council.
Right.
The community. Has the community heard this?
No, we haven't had a platform to do so yet. So we have,
Okay.
a newsletter, we have a website, we have socials, we have all the traditional ways that you communicate with people. So we just haven't activated them yet, right? So we'll utilize every resource at our fingertips in order to do that. We can celebrate in a lot of different ways, but really we can, when it comes to the local platform, we hope that we produce these resources, promote the heck out of them, continuously tell the story, and then people automatically eventually know where this information is housed. And eventually we'll have a visitor center, and we'll have all of these boots on the ground in the community out there telling the story as well. So it really is just a combination of, a traditional strategy, right? Where you do digital, you do the hard copy in the newsletter, you do the appearance at council, you do all sorts of things like that. So it has to be robust and complete. But then also you have to ensure that you are empowering the community to also tell the story, right? Give them the talking points they need to celebrate. Yeah.
They need that info.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and right now for Enchant, for example, it wasn't my information to get. So we need to gain permission from events rights holders and venues and things like that. We can't just take their data and do it for them, right? So it's all about creating trusted partnerships and creating a mechanism for it.
It just was looking, the deadline for the next city newsletter was today.
Yeah.
So it'll be a couple months before you can.
Sure, yeah. And we've had our eye on that too. It's just a matter of, timing is not perfect, but we don't want to put the cart before the horse. We want to give people, when we put that newsletter out, somewhere specific to go, to either ask questions, to interact, to understand. And we are counting on this website to be our initial tool for people to explore on their own. It'll have our mission, it'll have our history, it'll have our board of directors, they'll know who's involved, it'll have contact information, it'll have all of the things that people will need to feel satisfied that they can trust this organization, or at least that they have the ability to learn more.
And you said you're going to do an insert?
Yeah.
And you talked to Lisa about the logistics of that?
Yes, who talked to, I believe at the time it was Michelle Eichmann had initiated the conversation, but yeah, it's been approved that we can do it. But we'll just have to follow up with logistics when it's our appropriate time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know if you're able to provide it and they insert it, or if they have to have the people that are printing it do the whole thing.
Sure. From my understanding of the conversation, but I'll be sure to confirm in due time, that we would just submit it, and as long as they approve the content, like they would read through it and see that there's nothing offensive or nothing that could be considered misleading or that they would just insert it. But if we do need to build the time in for it to be produced on our behalf, we'd be happy to spend the money to make that.
Other questions for Laura?
We have one on statement of activity, the P&L presence. Did you get the last check that we sent?
Oh yes, it was deposited in just the very beginning of April, so it'll be on the April one.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Mhm.
I just got.
No, thank you. Appreciate following up on that.
If they
Yeah.
didn't get it, then we better start tracking.
No, we did. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you guys so much.
Moving on to unfinished business.
Thank you.
We have a request for assistance from the Franklin Park Concerts organization, and in your packet is the actual formal request for a tourism grant. And we have a representative here from.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
Karen, yes. I'm with the maps and that little
Here,
book that-
Karen's with the parks.
which would
Right.
really work out with what she's doing. This
Yes.
would be a perfect thing.
Well, this is a different one. This is a different application, so you can corner her right now if you want.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, so I'm with the Parks and we've done a map
This is just for us.
This is concerts.
of
Yep.
all
Yeah.
the parks
Take a
that
look
are
at
in.
it.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
So
you guys would like this. So
Like
I
that.
can work with you.
I did not
Yes,
ask
I
the
do.
gentleman.
And,
It was on that website.
Right.
yes, and we
Felt
also
that was
have
necessary.
a
I don't
like
think
a
so.
booklet on how to rent the
because
parks
we
and
have
stuff?
worked with them
Like,
before.
because then you can have
Can you explain that
weddings and
to,
stuff like
to
that,
everybody
so-
here, John? What happened?
Do you have a
I-
card?
I'm looking
Yeah.
for it. Thanks.
We,
I just switched bags, so it's.
contributed $500 to their operations to put on the contract.
So I'd have to get
If not
approval,
eligible,
right?
And this year they are asking
Right, I
for
have to
1,000.
approval from
Right?
the
Did I,
Parks
when I
Commission.
reached the end here, 500 to cover band costs and an additional 500
Yeah.
for
Exact type of
advertising.
contract we need.
That is exactly what you're looking
Uh,
I know, right? Right place, right time.
1,000
Yes, it
total.
is.
I'm gonna go old school and write.
Any comments from folks that have, or any
Yes.
commission members here that have
Yeah, I
actually better, dealt with our Franklin Park concerts in the past with their requests and attended the event or any barbecue? should I
Yeah,
say?
I've attended whatever concerts I've been able to, at least maybe twice, at least twice a summer.
No, I
And they're
was
very
looking for
nice,
that, 'cause I just thought
well
I
attended.
was gonna write everything down. and
A
then-
wide range of people who were there, grandparents with their grandkids and other. There was a newborn there one time, his very first concert. And I think also the range of the type of music that they offer kind of appeals to a lot of different people in the community. So it's a very pleasant summer thing to do, and I think the library has often had a table there, and then also Volition, that's through the health department, has also been there. So it kind of involves a lot of different aspects of it. I really support, I would encourage that we support them in whatever way we can.
All right. Any other comments on the application? Since they've been involved with us in the past, I don't think we have to put it off to another meeting to decide what we want to do.
They
So
need the concerns now.
So, open to a motion for approval or to not take action.
I just have one other comment on that, when we talk about handouts promoting Franklin, are they going to be promoting Franklin, Franklin, or
Franklin Tourism.
Franklin Tourism? So this would be a good
Well, I need to get approval.
vessel to promote the website, too.
Right.
Yeah.
So it might be a good combination. I think they're good.
Yeah, because they did say in here, didn't they, there would be opportunities for the commission to be listed, right?
Right, it just says advertising, including posters and handouts.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as long as they get as long as they get the right verbiage.
Yeah.
They can't just City of Franklin. I mean, if they say it's sponsored by City of Franklin, that's a little. It has to be make sure the verbiage is correct. Whoever's doing it. Franklin Tourism.
It should be Franklin Tourism and the web.
And as
right,
long as
the
it's
website.
clear, yeah.
Yeah.
So if we include that extra dollar, make sure we have the appropriate.
Well, and that's what they say, though. At
Yep.
the bottom, they say, including posters and handouts, Franklin.
Right, but as long as they say, sponsored by Franklin, from City of Franklin, right? It's the one,
Right.
Be confusing. But
So they should coordinate with this, whether it's John or this
Right.
commission, to make sure they've got the right.
But I think it's a great idea.
All right.
Yeah, and I believe they also hand out like the schedule for the summer. So that handout schedule certainly have our, plus promoting the website.
All right.
I make a motion
All right.
to
Got a
the
motion.
expenditure as listed, requested.
All right.
I would
So
second.
that's the motion to approve, and it's $1,000 amount requested.
Correct.
There's a second from Barbara. All those in favor of the tourism grant application for $1,000 for the Franklin Park Concert Series, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Grant approved. Work on it. Okay, that's fine. All right, perfect. Moving on to item B, Franklin Tourism Commission request for assistance guidelines. Now, we, in our last, not special session, we discussed the form, and John said he would take those comments to heart and make some adjustments to the form. Is it in this packet? It is. It is right after the proposed budget for the Franklin Parks. So, John, can you just remind us what we tweaked a little bit from the last time? Do you recall?
I think we took some stuff out of the actual title. It's the application. And we don't have any deadlines on it or anything like that. We left target markets to the organization because we want target markets there. And we added what are the project's attendance goals in section 2 on the second page. And then we also added what are the specific geographic and target markets for the project. So we already know what the target markets are going to be for the organization. But this specific project is going to fit into the organization mission. And so I'd like to know specifically what it's targeting for this project. And then I think at the meeting we put in identify how the project will be able to generate overnight paid stays in hotels.
I like that you took out the reference to
Yeah, we did that in the guidelines.
Nobody knows what those are.
Right,
But as
right.
long as they define.
Right. And there's that document too. Is that in here?
I didn't have that in there, but yeah, basically we took out those 3 lines. However,
Yeah, so, because, there was let's see, trying to remember who, Barbara, were you at the last, no, so we, our companion document to the actual grant is our 1 page, this is what qualifies, or here's how you want to go about applying, and we modified that document as well. And so there was some changes to that to basically reword the 4 pillars to something a little more.
this is clean. I can pull up the one that has all the edits in it, so I guess we can take a look at it now if you want. I'm sorry.
Sure, why not?
That's what we agreed to, yeah.
I can pull out.
You got your notes there from that meeting, right?
Here is red line version. Took out, deleted our mission and core values, principles, and our core values are the pillars, and we took that out. And then so we took out pillars, and another reference to the pillars, we took that out. And that was about it.
Well, and then if it didn't fall into one of the 4 pillars, we might deny it.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that's implied.
Yep, if funding request does not fall into the 4 pillars.
That was still, right.
That was deleted. And then our core values are the pillars on which we decide. Got our core values, but we didn't call them pillars. Then we took the mission and core values being the principles on deciding funding. So we just took the stuff out that alluded to pillars being part of why we make our funding.
To me, it's really like a cover page for the.
What it is.
That's
Exactly.
what you're right.
Yep.
So do we really need, so this has been sort of a work in progress. We used the last meeting to again solicit some comments and we made some edits. I can see this still being a living document that we, as somebody, and especially as people fill it out and they go, I had a question on this. I had a little trouble filling this out. I don't know what you're asking for here, whatever. Some things may come to our attention. We're like, maybe we need to tweak that just a little bit. Right. This was a good effort, and I'm just wondering, John, do we need to approve this as our official form to start with, or it's the current version and we just roll with it as?
I think you need to.
Okay. Well, so we're just now.
The guidelines and the actual form being our app.
Right. So you have the form in here, you don't have the guidelines, but.
Well, you can see
So the guidelines we had agreed on
Yeah.
several years ago. We just cleaned out those couple.
Right.
So if you're.
But I mean, you can see it now. I mean, I think we'll make copies of it, and then we could it'll be part of the minutes.
Right.
It's not that we can never go back to it.
Right.
No, that's what I'm saying. I
I
think.
think we just approve it.
In fact, I would. Well, I agree with you. And
And then you put a date on there.
what's that?
And then you
And
put
a
on
date, right? That this is the approved version, and then maybe we just get it all sent to us. Again, we got the one pack, or the one item, or the form in here, but maybe the cover page could just be emailed to all of us, just so you've got it. Because that way, what I would expect is if you got a few spare moments and you want to look through that, you could come to the next meeting and go, hey, by the way, I was thinking about this. Just want to toss this out there, and we can certainly. Okay. But
I think you guys went through it last time.
we,
You can't really change too much. But
Yeah.
form, it's a form, and just say effective date as of today.
I think adding an effective date.
And then the thing is, if all of a sudden come July, we say, hey, we got to change this, open it up to say, make a proposal, or agenda item. Like a bylaws.
yeah.
Yeah.
When there's some things in there like the target market that may not apply to everyone, but they have it in there, you can just say, well, in your case, it doesn't apply, but somebody else wants to do something and they're looking to bring in artists or marathon runners, that applies.
Yeah. I think it's good form. So
John, is this the kind of thing that could be on our website and be fillable instead of having people write it out?
Yes,
by hand?
I think we could probably
Get
do that.
that done?
Yeah.
No. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll work on it.
Did it have to be somebody else?
Yeah, they just send it to me.
when
They
we say our
could make it
website,
out fillable, and then
Oh,
they
but
could.
I'm
what
not
website are we talking
Well, could it be on the city website? I mean, because we're listed as a
would
tourism
be,
commission
yeah.
on the tourism.
Okay.
Right, it would be listed on the
Site.
city.
Okay, so that would be the website they have to
And
go to.
they'd fill it out, and then they'd basically download it to an email.
Right. And send.
Or we could work something out on the website. Or they could just address it, send.
Jeff, it sounded like you had encapsulated all of the comments here into a maybe little motion, possibly. Would you be willing to restate that and
I'd like to make a motion to approve form as written with the addition of effective date and approve it as is.
Nice.
A second.
Get a motion to approve the form as is with adding the effective date from Mr. Dursky. Mr. Wiley seconds that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, form approved.
That includes the guidelines.
And I'm sorry. Correct. Okay. All right.
Just to clarify, it was approving, motion was guidelines.
So clarified. Item C, Parks Commission pamphlets. Hi.
I'm back again.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure, I think all the changes that I made to it is I did put your tagline in that you guys sponsored the printing of that thing for both items.
Okay.
And I think that's all we need to do. I did change something on page 12 with the T-ball or the football, because we made changes in the park. And so I changed it, what it needed. I don't know if you wanted to see that or not.
You have a.
I just made one. I only have it in black and white. And in the map too, I also put your tagline that you sponsored the printing for it. And this is going to go in the city newsletter then. So as an insert. So that's really all I did to it.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you wanted to? I know you have copies of it, or you had it last time and stuff. Or if you had any questions.
Which meeting was it?
I don't think you were there. There was only a few people here. It was for
February.
the park rental brochure thing. It's like a little 12, 14.
I saw a PDF of everything. So
Yeah, that. And then there was a map. The map is 11 by 17, bigger than this. And so those are the two items. So I just need to get that stuff done then. Yay.
Send us an invoice, because we approved the funding. We didn't.
Right. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I gave you guys the credit for it then.
Can you read how did you list that?
I just said, I put your logo on, or the logo printing made possible by the Franklin Tourism Commission. Keep it clean and simple, and so then you're out there and stuff. And that was a nice
I'm so glad you were
Pick up-
talking with Laura.
Yeah, that's,
We said.
never
during-
met her before, so that's an awesome thing, then this stuff should all be on there.
I was gonna say, I think your graphic talent should make its way into.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely, and I like what they're doing with their, at that end. If Franklin really needs something, I wish the city was doing their own stuff, but it's really part of it, it's all,
Yeah.
all together, so yay, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So good, and thank you for that. Yeah, it was fun to announce it at the commission meeting and stuff.
Oh,
We
nice.
just had that last week or whatever, so they were all excited, so yay!
Good.
All right, I'll make sure you guys get copies then. Is there anything else that you needed from me? No?
John needs
Okay.
an
Good,
invoice.
Mr. Lucky.
All right.
John needs an invoice, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know how that's gonna work for the city, when it goes into the brochure. I'll have to talk to the city and find out how that works.
John knows how to do
Yeah,
Yeah.
John knows.
so
what-
I don't
know.
know,
When it
yeah.
comes to worst, we'll just have the finance department make it up.
Yeah.
So that will come from us eventually or
I'll
whatever,
talk to
so.
Marion.
Yeah, Marion will get you that information, so yay!
Nice.
So I will get you that bill then and stuff for the other portion of it, and we're all good here then. Thank you, it was fun.
Thank
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, final agenda item under unfinished business, the Gage Franklin funding due as per the tourism entity agreement. So, I believe, as backup for this discussion, or just for your information, right? It would be
Well,
the very next-
what I want to do is I want to kind of just give you a review of where we're at now. This is September 30th's financial statement, and year to date is what counts. A lot of this stuff is pretty confusing because it has to do with original budgets, amended budgets, and which can change over the year, if, especially at the beginning if we carry over dollars. So year-to-date balance as of the end of September was $79,000.
And that means balance that we have received.
No, that's what the Tourism Commission had received as of the end of September.
Okay. But that's the tax payments that we've got.
The Tourism Council
Yeah.
had gotten last year, yes, correct.
And that's everything from the city for all of 2023 up through September 30th.
Through September 30th.
Got it.
Now, we talked about, stuff that's received, in the last quarter, or, well, earned in the last quarter.
Yeah.
And coming in during the first quarter of 2020. So that's the important part about it. So, and also I want to make the point that take a look at some of these numbers and some of these statements. They have a lot of information on them that doesn't necessarily help us like 2022. But a couple things to be cognizant of. Fund balance at end of 2023, 487, 186, which that's going to increase obviously when you get into 2024, but I think it's going to be about the same because the funds that were received so far get credited back. So not just the funds that were received in the fourth quarter that were earned in the fourth quarter, because that gets credited, to the city, to the Tourism Commission, but also what was received, even though it was earned in the last quarter of the previous year and received in the first quarter of this year. Received and earned are two different things. Received is when you get the money. Earned is when the hotel or motel actually
So
got the receipt.
the money that was earned
paid.
in the fourth quarter
Right.
is received in the first quarter.
Well, not all of it. That's-
Am I on the right track though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, but well, we were expecting the bulk of it too.
Yeah.
Be that.
Yeah.
So it didn't turn out that.
Okay.
But when we look at this 487, 186, those are the receipts.
Nope, that's a fund balance. Total liabilities and fund balance. First part of this is a balance sheet.
Okay. I'm sorry.
First
Yeah,
part?
I apologize.
Yep.
So this is a fund balance with, this is the Tourism Commission's
That's-
balance as of the end of 2020.
That's our money.
That's within the bank. Right, the Tourism Commission.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, because we always want to know that sort of thing.
Sure.
So, but again, aside, but to go back, P&L is at the end of September was 79,314.
Okay.
Okay. Now, at the end of 2023, it's 329,314. But that's everything that came in the last quarter, regardless of when it was actually received. It was earned in the last quarter, and the city credits it.
Right.
And that's kind of how our accounting gets jumbled up. And to be quite honest, that's all that sheet's good for.
Okay.
Okay, so here we are in 2024, 2023. And the point this makes for us is that again, we don't get, nothing is getting credited except interest in 2020. That's the whole point.
At least year to date. Well, for 3 months. Okay.
Right. But we know we got dollars in. Because I talked with the finance director. I said, well, what actually physically came in? I don't care when it was received. We know that, well, it does matter. She gave me a breakdown of what was received. But I said, that's what our agreement is based on.
Right.
I said, we'll have to, we'll have to estimate that because that's what we're liable for.
The agreement that says we're giving 75%.
Of everything that comes in
Right.
2024, even if it came from the last quarter.
Right.
So, okay. So, again, there's really not much more on this page that helps us, except I think we added interest into those numbers, and so we're 474, 130 as far as the total fund balance. Okay. So
now this page gives us all the answers.
well, yeah, let me,
No, your next page.
all right, now,
That page.
keep going.
Yeah.
So, here we are in looking at what was received over time. So again, we start at 79,000. That was that third quarter at
Right.
the end of the third quarter. So in October and November, I'm informed that it's 148, 359.04 is what came in October and November. It's actually received by the city. Tricky part of that is it puts it out of the realm of our agreement.
So some of that was earned before October.
No, that was all earned, and well, it could have been.
Because what we're messing around with is timing of when the hotel makes their payment.
Right.
Well, that and the fact that the city takes their chunk first. That's why 79,000 is the first payment.
Right.
Okay.
Well, 79,000 is what was received by the tourism. Was the first, was
But
our
the city,
payment.
right.
Was our
They
payment.
finally met their threshold and said, okay.
Yeah, up until that point. So this stuff coming in does come in. City's cuts already. Yeah, I see your point. So at the year end, we are looking at $227,000.73.
And again, that's money that's been given to us.
Right. At the year end, that's what came into us physically. Now, physically, in 2024, $101,640. $101,640 came in 2024, but that actually was earned the prior year. Like we were expecting
Right.
more than that to happen.
And what we told in our agreement, we said when we get that first payment in the new year, that will be yours. We'll start this 75%.
Right.
Correct.
Right. So that gives us a total year end between 23 and 24, 329, 312. Right on this.
So,
Take if you look back at that magical 329 number there. See that? There we are right there. 2023 year to date, 329, 314. I guess that's the only number that's worth anything in that sheet. So, but very important. So, and this is room taxes earned when they were earned, when they were credited. So the hotels pulled this money in, did the business, rented their rooms out in October and November. So that's 249, and year end 329, 313.50. So basically, we're balancing out. So proof that Regis isn't just making all this up. Okay, so
Question, somewhere in here, does it show what the city gets?
city's already got theirs.
Yes.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
In terms
No,
of
there's-
dollars, I'd like to know what they're getting.
Yeah, there's another. Well, it's $151,000.
51.9
Oh, they
on
have
top of it.
159, so they get a flat amount.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, it's a
that's
flat
what I was-
amount until we hit the magical $500,000 mark or something like that, and then we start doing
Once we
37.
get to a certain number of
Till
rooms,
30% is more than 151, though.
Yeah, right.
So, okay, so now Engage Franklin, let's bring that into the mix. They get a share of 75%. So it's $76,000 share they get of that.
So the 76,230 be our 75% that we owe them based on money that came into it.
Right.
Okay, right?
Right, yeah, that's their share.
But then the question is there additional money from the fourth quarter that's going to come into it?
No, I don't think.
Okay.
But I think you're on the right track.
Yeah,
I think
it
where
might.
John has got
It might, but I'm kind of doubting it. We're already into April.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so it would have come in hopefully like February.
Right. Well, or March. I got a March statement and I
Okay.
didn't see anything.
Am I jumping ahead too far if I could? Because I think you had explained to me, so one of the things and you all need to think about how we recall this, but we thought this 148,359 that you see from October, November, we were thinking it may not show up until the first of the year, 2024.
Yeah, we were thinking that most of that would actually.
Would be
show
in
up
2024, but it
Right.
actually dropped in 2023.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, and now we go back to our tourism entity agreement, right? And the 75%, and the thought is, we've only figured 75% on the 101. Question is, should it really be 75% on 148 plus 101? Because most of this 148,359 is something they may, and we had talked about bringing over.
And the agreement was effective October 1st, but the payment started Q1
Right.
of this year. That's what.
And we thought maybe some of this payment would show up in Q1, but it didn't. It actually hit in 2023. And I think your question, John, is do we need some sort of separate acknowledgement or agreement to pay 75% of the 148,300, correct?
Whatever portion of it we think that we should do something with. I mean, you've got several choices that you choose to do 75% of that amount or a different amount of that as an action to just direct it to Engage Franklin. You can do that as a motion, or you can just do it as an amendment to the agreement at the front end, beginning with this amount, and then hereafter else. That's, I guess that one's over. That one's over that's above my pay grade. But we know what we were thinking. Just didn't turn out the way. And the problem is, and it vexes the finance department almost as much as me, because they know I'm coming up and asking. And then they've got to take back and go back and forth, and tricky enough just having purchase orders from one year to the next.
So had the
Dealing with
city
revenues.
not received the 148.3,
Pardon?
had the city not received the 148.3, and we were thinking that was going to come in January, February.
Yeah, if it came in January, February.
And the 76,230 would be
More.
per our agreement.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that 148, is that truly the revenue from that quarter, or is that a previous?
that came in that quarter. That came in the last quarter of last year. Now, like Mark said,
Based on July, August, September, that was prior to our agreement.
Yeah, it was earned
it could have been.
prior to
Right.
October.
Right, so
Right.
I don't know if it's, we should go back, I mean, I don't know how to go back. I mean, it was
Yeah.
prior to our, we're given money that was previous.
From what the finance director was saying was earned in that quarter. So right now, I'm assuming it did come from that quarter, but I
Well, yeah, that'd be interesting, because I know, I mean, again, like we're in this period right now, within a couple more days, we're gonna have to file our room tax, we're gonna pay, cut a check to the city of Franklin for the first quarter of 2024.
Yours.
Yes, and there's no entity, there's no hotel that is going to cut a check. So, for example, it'd be impossible to pay the city for the fourth quarter, 2023, in the fourth quarter, unless you wrapped up businesses early. You said, well, we're done, so we'll just settle up with you now, and send you what we have. You're going to get it in the first quarter of 2024. So this money here that dropped in somewhere in the between October and November, had to be from the third quarter, for example.
Right, well, I mean, you look at the numbers, first of the quarter is only 79, and then we jumped to 148, that seems like a big.
Yeah.
So I would think that some of that money is from the third quarter.
And the third quarter traditionally in this town is the biggest producer, right? So that's
Right.
July, August, September. Those are powerhouse months for
Sure.
room tax. So that's going to be a big number, and that's why it's reflected here. 48. I guess the question is, do you want to give 75% of 148, or say, well, we really said it was going to start with the fourth quarter 2023, and that's what this is. So 75% is 76,000. Here you go. We know we're cutting a check for 76,000.
we know that.
Done deal. We're going to prove that tonight to get that out. These are their money. But 148. that John's bringing up, just saying. Something you want to do with that, or?
And we're reaching the point where I'm gonna pull back from this.
Okay.
But I will tell you that they're excited as can be about that figure.
Which figure is
The
that?
76.
They're excited about the 76.
I mean, I'm just concerned that 148 is money that was prior to.
Right.
If it
Well,
somehow, if you wanna go through-
Earned prior to the fourth quarter.
Right, but if you want to go back and try to figure that number out,
Yeah, I can go back and check and
then
see what
we
it
can
was.
bring that. I would say just give them the 76 right now, and we can always go back to it.
We need to.
We need to give them something that I think, and then if we want to research that information,
Okay.
then we can readdress it. They would be, I'm sure they would be happy to give another check.
Well, but you're right. I mean, unless I'm missing something here, there's just no way that this 148 has anything to do with the fourth quarter.
No, that's
It
what I'm
can't.
saying.
It can't. So, I mean, it's a done deal. Unless we're willing to, if our understanding is we owe them something prior to October, then that would be in
Right.
play. But
I
don't think we do, right? It started October 1st?
Right.
Yeah,
Lance, when
let me check and see what it was earned. We'll do some more research.
All right.
I was going to ask, so when you send a check, you're going to send a check for some figure.
Right.
You don't give any qualifying information that says some of this was earned in January, some was February, some was March. You have a number.
We give them our ST12s. Those are sales tax forms.
No.
So when you collect sales tax, you got to fill out an ST12 to the state, and that's all your taxable receipts. Because in the state of Wisconsin, part of what room tax is built on is the sales tax. So sales tax is what gets charged on a hotel stay, in addition to the 8% room tax.
So you have it by month.
So we give them an ST. We have to give them an ST12 for every month. They get that, and then there's a separate form I fill out. That's tie out to those ST12s, where then I lump sum and I say for the quarter, we took in this much room revenue, and so much of it was tax exempt, meaning folks that stayed 30 plus days,
Right.
or other tax exempt organizations in the state of Wisconsin. Okay. And then there's a number. I take 8% of that, and we write a check. But it's always. I don't even. I can't predict what the quarter's going to be like till the quarter's done.
Yeah.
It's due by April 30th for the first quarter of 2020. So those revenues will be, starting to hit the, I know we don't, I mean, we pay ours early, we pay it right when it's due. But, I'm guessing most hotels, since it comes in right at the end of April.
And you guys get yours in on time, and
Yeah.
it's really not a hassle, but a lot of the other small places, pop places, you don't know when they're going to come in. They're going to pay them on time, if they're going to pay them after the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Who monitors that? Is that the city or the state? Have to monitor the smaller.
No, it's actually the city, because it's the dollars that we're collecting. And we get the statements, but we get them later before or after the end of the year for some.
And we don't have the time and manpower to audit it, which have been having this run through my head for a while, seeing if we could find out from the clerk's office, and Danielle used to do it in Waterford, what it might take, whether it's an intern or a temp person to come in and do an audit, get everything squared away. If we had some funding from room tax money to do that, so we knew who was paying, who's not paying, make sure that we've got track that things are coming in on time, and if not, you're following up on it.
Yeah, and she wanted to get together and talk about collections, and Laura said that Engage would be happy to help. She's got ideas about it. The other wrinkle that we have is operators declaring that their tenants are exempt. Because they fall into a certain class, and I forget the term, and I think it's confused as to how it's used. What do they call? What's the official term for a temporary resident that stays temporary? No,
You're
not
talking about somebody that
extended.
stays 30 days or more?
No, 2 days.
2 days.
One
Transient.
Transient.
I think the biggest challenge too right now, John, and this is where it would be nice to have somebody look into this. Argue, cities 30% could go towards more collection, so they get more of that 30%. What would be the so here's what happens now: online travel agents like Expedia, Travelocity, they now collect the tax. In front. A lot of them, you prepay and they charge you, and they collect the tax. They're supposed to remit it to the city, frankly. And a good audit procedure would be to make sure that what they have, the OTA online travel agents, what the OTAs have is coming in, and some careful here because I may not be helping my own interest here in the lodging sector, but a couple of communities in this state have decided want you to report the OTA traffic that you're not collecting room tax. You know what I'm saying? So besides 30 plus days, because a big part of our tax exempts now are not government officials or Indian Community School, which is tax exempt. No, it's folks staying on Expedia that have paid Expedia. When they come to us, we don't collect the tax, and so that room charge for us is listed as tax exempt because City of Franklin should be getting it from the online travel agent.
You don't collect it.
We don't collect it.
Is the city getting the tax dollars from Expedia?
No, I don't believe it is. I don't know that as a fact, but I would say probably not. And
We
then
should
we've
be
got-
getting a check. There should be checks coming in from major sites like Priceline.
Right.
There's only really two major players in that field right now, Priceline and Expedia. And they all own other sites that you're very familiar with, like Hotels.com. And so, but those would be, there should be checks coming in to the City of Franklin from those sites.
We also have some motels that have people living in them, which they're not supposed to be.
And I think those moteliers declare them as being exempt.
Right, so I see what you're saying.
I mean, they get
When they have actual
State.
residents where they
get
turned
their
over
mail
their,
there, yep.
Yeah.
But it's not zoned as an apartment.
Yeah. And that's not necessarily what they're permitted for.
Right.
And so, the interns have to go identify that and report back.
Does Expedia actually do collect them tax dollars? I never thought about it.
I'm thinking that's a state issue, because that's impacting everybody in the whole state.
Well, it used to be that the special, those websites really had special privileges because they didn't have to collect tax. They didn't pay it and they didn't collect it, so they could be cheaper online, because they weren't collecting tax. Now they're forced to, the state law forces them to collect room tax and submit it to the corresponding municipality.
To the municipality.
That's part of the
not-
room
not
tax.
the state.
Not to the state.
That must have changed.
Because well, and I'll be honest, I might be wrong in this, but if they're submitting it to the state's got to funnel it back to the city of Franklin. It's Franklin's room tax.
That's a big question.
Yeah. Franklin's room tax. So you should be getting, because again, there are some communities in Wisconsin that ask their hoteliers, tell us what portion of this tax exempt. There's 30 plus days. That's easy. Anyone staying more than 30 days. And then there's folks that just aren't paying you room tax, either the sales tax or the city room tax. What's up with that room charge? And a good chunk of it these days are folks that are booking third-party websites. So anyway, that would be something. If we're not getting anything, then they're right there is a big audit item. That's the low-hanging fruit right there on missing room tax dollars. I'll tell you that right now.
Maybe that's what Laura was thinking about.
Yeah. So it sounds like then, based on what I'm hearing here, is we just approve the $76,230. We get this done for them, and you're going to just maybe dig a little deeper on what the 148 entails. Okay. So do we need to do this by motion like we do other vouchers?
I would feel better if we did.
Okay.
Motion to submit $76,230.17 to Engage Franklin as their share of room tax dollars.
So moved.
Get a motion by Mark to submit that $76,217 to Engage Franklin for the terms of our agreement. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Ed, all those in favor?
Jeff.
Or Jeff. My apologies. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. That payment approved. It will be distributed to Engage Franklin. New business potential. So this does not apply. This was, the agenda item was put on it for the possibility that we would be looking at some sort of an amendment to be able to pay more. And we're not going to.
And the thing is, this is only an issue where it's tricky to get started.
Right.
After you get going, and it's a no-brainer
Really, everything coming in now is
from here on out.
right. So we got voucher approvals next on, and let's see here. Just quarrels.
Yeah, just quarrels because we did Franklin Park concert.
Yes. So you have in your packet I still want to know what happened to Brady, but you Quarles invoice from dated April 9th for $990 for legal services. So motion to approve by Mark.
Second.
Second by Ed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Invoice approved. And that is it for vouchers, correct?
Correct.
That's all I see in the packet here. Next meeting, May 15th. At work? For everybody? What is May? That's a Wednesday, huh?
It sounds important. I don't know why.
No, I'm thinking, I know I've got a little trip, but that's going to start May 16th. I'd love to spend my May 15th on the Virginia trip here.
I'm going to be gone either the 15th or 16th. It's undecided yet. So.
Okay. How do we how's it work for you, Ed? All right. Jeff?
I'm good.
Okay. Thank you. Mark?
I'm good.
Barbara, and you?
Pretty sure I'm good, yes.
Can we just stick with the 15th for now? And,
Yep.
All right. So our next.
Sounds like it'd be a short meeting. These guys will want to get out.
Yeah. Okay, 15th at our regular time, 6 p.m.
Sure.
All right. And finally,
Move to adjourn?
motion to adjourn, yeah.
I'll
As that-
second.
Okay, motion from Ed, a second from Barbara, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.